once again. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the session titled Embedding Sustainability into African Insurance Markets. Just to make you aware, the session will be recorded and it will be available on our website so that we have at least all our members and non-members that were not able to join us today to engage with our discussions and have a feel of how the follow-ups that we have after the session. So let me introduce myself again. My name is Iara Sousa, and I'm the African Implementation Coordinator for the Principle for Sustainable Insurance in Africa. So for those, let me start asking, because I know that here we have members and non-members. I wanted to know if there are people familiar with the PSI, with the Principle for Sustainable Insurance. If yes, just raise your hand so that I can have a few of those that are familiar with the initiative. Yeah, that's great. So just to kick off, for those that are unfamiliar with the PSI, we are a global framework guiding the insurance industry to better understand, prevent, and reduce environmental, social, and governance risks. We are operating across the globe, and we have regional networks as well that operate across the world. So basically, the PSI is trying to embed sustainability-related risks across the value chain of the insurance industry, with a particular interest in integrating into within core business strategies and the way that clients are handled and tackling on issues related to climate risks. So the PSI is about creating a space for experimenting new products, learning, and collective action. So as we navigate risks like climate volatile and biodiversity loss, we feel that there is need to have sort of a community of practice, and that's exactly what we try to do with the PSI. So talking now regionally, as the PSI recognizes that sustainability solutions must be rooted in local realities, we strongly believe that regional approaches to implementing it, sustainable insurance practices are the best way to move forward when it comes to adopt and integrate sustainability practices. So basically in 2021, the vision led to the launch of the Nairobi Declaration on Sustainable Insurance, which is a continent-led commitment driven by African industry leaders, and it reflects basically a shared ambition in terms of embedding the principle for sustainable insurance across the region. So let me stop here for a second and see if there is any comment, any question, or an addition that you feel that. So there is silence, so we'll proceed. So let's dive into the session now. So joining me today, I have four speakers, but one of them is just running late, handling a few personal issues. But for now, I'll welcome first Dr. Amine Utomwen. He is the Chief Risk Officer of Waica, and Wakesho Sonje. She's the Group ESG Specialist at ICEA. And then we have Amine Ryane. He's the Head of Business Development and Partnerships at Atlantic Re. So all speakers that we have here will basically bring a perspective that will cover the continent as a whole, because we have representation here from West, East, and North Africa. So we expect that with the insights that they will be providing, their experience and their backgrounds, we'll be able to get some takeaways that will support our journey when it comes to implementing sustainability-related issues. So just as a way of kicking off, I will start with Dr. Monday. And I know that she's passionate about it, And I've seen him across the continent delivering the same message with passion. So I would ask you to take us through the shared economic value that Waica works on when it comes to sustainability efforts across all the markets that you have. What are the references that you have? What you can offer about it in terms of business performance and aligning it with long-term resilience? Over to you, Mandi.
Thank you very much, Iara. And first of all, give appreciation to UNEP for this invitation once again to be part of the panelists for this particular program. As been introduced, I work with a reinsurance company, a pan-African reinsurance company that is called Waica Reinsurance Corporation PLC. Now we operate across the different African blocks, regional blocks. We're in West Africa, we're in North Africa, we're in East Africa, and then we're also in Southern Africa. So that means we have a very good geographical spread, which has enabled us to understand the kind of diversity which befalls Africa, both positively and negatively. And because we play in the reinsurance space, we have a broad-eye view of what is going on in terms of climate change. So our risk is a bit diversified because as a parent company, the other subsidiaries operating in these regions are able to transfer part of their risk to the parent company. So we are able to see the first-hand impact of climate change, whether it is drought, whether it is the tropical cyclone, whether it is flooding in West Africa. Okay, we are able to experience this through the claims process and claims payment. Now, talking about the shared value principles is a concept that we actually started using in 2024. And it didn't happen by mistake. It happened through a concerted effort, okay, and discussion among the team. Now, what is the shared value principle or the economic shared value principle? It talks about you discussing the issue of value in terms of profit, and at the same time, you are also looking about the societal value. So when you are creating economic value, you are actually also measuring how those economic value is impacting the society, that is the societal value. Now, most of the times, when you look at the insurance sector, the usual reporting is insurance penetration. Or what is the insurance penetration for Morocco? What is the insurance penetration for Egypt? What is the insurance penetration for South Africa? And that becomes one of the only yardstick to measure the economic impact of insurance companies in the society. And that in itself is understating the value which the insurance value chain brings to the economy. So for us in Waica, we decided to construct the shared economic value principle, and we were able to create 8 pillars for discussion and reporting also to our stakeholders, both internally and externally. And this has helped us to redefine sustainability. So ESG, it's not just about the 3 pillars, environment, social, and governance. But when you start implementing ESG, you begin to see through the lens of sustainability that some of the things you are doing already, or if not most of the things you are doing already, actually falls into the umbrella of a sustainable solution or a sustainable outcome. So when we started mapping our activities through the lens of the shared value principle, I actually came up with the 8 pillars using an acronym which is called PROSPEDA, PROSPEDA, PROSPEDA. PEDA, just like prosperity, PROSPEDA. So I may not go through all the 8 pillars, but I will just focus on about 4 or 5 for the sake of time. The first P in the shared economic value principle is public value through taxes and employment. And you can see how this aligns with our sustainability goals, whether it is the SDG, okay, whether it is no poverty, no hunger, whether it is gender equality. All this can be fine-tuned between that first P. That the taxes that insurance company pays to the government, to the public sector, is part of that enablement, okay, to the government to create good roads, quality education, build institutions that are credible. And the insurance sector plays a significant role in this. There's hardly any insurance sector, any insurance operator here or within the value chain that does not engage or pay taxes at the end of the year, whether they are corporate taxes or whether they are individual taxes, employee taxes. So all these are contributions which the insurance sectors could report on as part of their sustainable strategy in creating a conducive or added value to the society. Then what about employment? Okay, at times when you pick up the audited accounts of insurance company, the only thing you just see is that they've employed so number of people. But don't forget that these people that are employed, most of them are within the community. And you are in another word, reducing hunger. You are in other words, reducing poverty. And all these are in alignment with the SDG goals. So in a nutshell, that is the first P. For instance, over the past 10 years, Waica has paid about $12 billion in taxes in the different regions that we have operate cumulatively. So that in itself is a significant contribution to the development in the public sector. Now we've engaged over 109 staff across the African region, okay, human resources that were sourced from the local community, and this has become part of the value chain and contribution that we prepare. Now, the arrow in Prosperia stands for the economic engine, revenue and profitability. Revenue and profitability. Remember, revenue and profitability are the economic engine of any society, of any nation. Okay, that is why if an institution is not able to generate revenue and be profitable, it dies and it decays. But you can see that insurance companies are built resilience. So we are not just building resilience because of climate change. It has been part of our core framework because we are tripartite, we are risk managers, we are risk takers, and we are also asset owners. And through the revenue, we have been able to multiply our effect across the different society. Then I will take another aspect. The O is operational resilience, operational excellence in investment or in operations. I will skip that. Then the S is societal stability through dividends and capital markets. I will skip that as well. Then we have P again, which is payment of commissions to empower distribution networks. For instance, Waica alone, we deal with over 571 brokers across Africa and beyond. And commissions are paid to all these brokers. So this is empowerment that we are creating. So in terms of sustainability, what else would be better than empowering others, other institutions, okay, to thrive in an economic environment that is ruled with all kinds of issues. And yet, we are able to partner with over 571 institutions and create a distribution network across even undeserved communities or unserved communities and improve the financial inclusions across this community through these distribution networks. Then finally, I will just run through and pick another point. The E, economic resilience via claims payment. The D is driving regional integration through global expansion. We operate in 9 African countries. The A is aligning with sustainable development goals. Now the E, economic residence via claims payment. Now, a lot has been discussed right from the onset of this program. Now you can see the millions of dollars that have been paid. In the past 10 years, we paid over $400 million in claims to diverse sectors, diverse communities. Now, out of that $400 million, we've paid over $14 million to the agricultural sector alone. And that is building recovery and resilience. So that means even when the backbone of the economy should have been broken, but here the insurance sector steps in and creates the needed resilience. As was said during the last presentation, that even if the rain does not come when it should, but the insurance sector will always be there to provide the recovery mechanism. So the 8 pillars of the shared economic value, when we start reporting it, when we make it form part of our transmission culture about our sustainability progress, and using that to communicate to the various stakeholders, then it will not just be about insurance penetration alone, but it will be about economic value, societal impact, as well as driving a responsible and sustainable insurance practice. Thank you. I would like to stop there for now.
Thank you, Monday. First, thank you for reminding us about the triple role of the insurance industry. It is key, and it is one of the reasons why we are here, and we acknowledge the role of the insurance industry. And then I just forgot to mention that I really hope that we have people taking notes, because by the end, the takeaways I will pick from you. I will pick the ones that I feel like has great takeaways to deliver, and then they will be the ones providing the takeaways. So now, Monday, really thanks to sharing it with us, for sharing it with us. It's not the first time that I hear it, and I know that it's really impactful, and I know that it's really changing the strategy. And I really hope that here we have companies that will as well try to follow the same steps. That's the reason why we have such a huge community. So let's now turn to the human side of the question: access, inclusion, and protection. So I will now head to Sonje. So sustainability in life and health insurance is emerging, has a critical focus. So particularly in supporting vulnerable populations. During all day, we'll be talking about the most vulnerable solutions and everything. So now let's go into the risk side of things and how the insurance industry can better support it. So can you share how this is evolving in an East African context, and what are the opportunities you see from the lens of the company of ICEA and the work that you have been developing across your industry?
Thank you for that. I think Monday has already mentioned everything. I think we can stop the presentation at this point. Yeah, but first, before I get to responding, I'd want to pass again apologies for our CEO, who is actually the chairman for the Nairobi Declaration on Sustainable Insurance, which Iara mentioned in her opening remarks. He was meant to be here. In fact, he was meant to be in this panel. But at the very last minute, due to unforeseen circumstances, he couldn't make it. So thank you for that, Iara, and it's good to be talking about the vulnerable communities and how to get them included, because as always, mostly when we keep talking, especially in Africa, the fact that insurance penetration is actually at sub 3%. So one of the things which we see or witness in East Africa with regards to that is shifting from reactive to proactive, where we see also insurance firms leveraging with the mobile industry, leveraging on technology on that, because For instance, of course, we know about Safaricom. I mean, the whole globe, I think, knows about Safaricom and M-Pesa and all the emerging other innovations through that. So, like, one of them is for anyone to have access to maybe a doctor to get some sort of consultation through your phone. Because of being a subscriber for Safaricom. So insurance firms partnering with that and small innovations which now can ensure that if you're getting these consultations, but of course it has to be paid somehow, so insurance firms come in with that. So we're having quite a number of technology looking at that, so that at least it ensures. Then all these, we normally call the grassroots level in Kenya, we call them even the mama mboga. Mama mboga means the person really selling small vegetables in the market that even them they can be able to access this kind of health insurance, in the health facilities. And then we have, of course, we are seeing that most insurance firms also embedding ESG principles, in our operations. So that's if it's the TNFD, if it's the IFRS, of course, the Nairobi Declaration and the PSI. So that also is helping us. So leveraging things on like nature-based solutions. So that now, as we approach, our customers, we are talking to them in terms of how can they prevent most of these diseases, so that it's not more of you're coming to us when you're actually unwell. Case in point, of course, we talk of the nature-based, like we know, like at the coastal area, things to do with, like if it's protecting the mangroves or corals, which help them to reduce the disasters. Or if we are talking even in cities, where if we can have, planting trees within the city, so that you have islands of forest, which then help to reduce the heat and such like. And also to help curb pollution, because I don't know if it's the case all over Africa, but like in Kenya, we have quite a number of, low-income housing, slums actually, slum dwellers, and most of the times they tend to be in areas which are heavily polluted. So if we have things like the trees, the tree islands, such, which help at least to absorb the pollution, so that it also helps their vulnerability to most of these diseases, because they tend to be in the areas which are highly polluted, because they tend to live in the industrial areas, because that's where they get the informal labor day to day. So at least working with our customers on that, and to ensure that at least then we can have even the small, as you say, the mama mboga to get access to, if it's that insurance. Then, of course, leveraging on innovation. I talked on that as I was talking about the mobile facilities. And I would like to give an example, like in ICEA Ryane. We have a product called the medical second opinion, which is, as it states, it's the medical second opinion, which is accessible to any of our policy holders. So even if you have, let's say, a car policy, you can be able to, access the medical second opinion, which is a great thing, because also in Kenya, we see a lot of this in the insurance space, especially in the health sector, that over-treating, if I may say. Whenever someone sees that you have a card, you have some sort of insurance, then they tend to over-treat you and give you a lot of medicine, because they say, but insurance is paying, it's not coming from your pocket. But you see, when you come to the vulnerable communities, they don't have that much access. Or maybe, even if they have that small insurance, and then you say, insurance will pay, but then you overrun their coverage for the year, and then the rest of the year they'll be left with no coverage. So at least with the medical second opinion, they can be able to access a second opinion before they commence on any treatment. So then at least it reduces that aspect of over-treating, which of course in the long run ends up being costly to them. And also it ensures that even the vulnerable can be able to access this, insurance, because as I said, it's available to anyone. Whatever policy you hold with us, even if it's the really minimal policy, you can be able to access this. And then another thing also, the innovations, like, of course, the parametric insurance, for the pay-as-you-go. I was in another forum, and they were actually talking about, the Gen Zs. If you don't know the Gen Zs, then it means you don't know about Kenya. Because you know what happened in our country last year. Everyone knew what was going on with the Gen Zs, more or less almost a year now, yeah? To that. In fact, I was making fun. I have a nephew who's a Gen Z. I was asking them, what plans do you have for us? It's that time of the year, so you must know Gen Zs. So most of the Gen Zs don't want the traditional insurance, which we are used to, that you take a whole year, maybe you're paying for a car. They'll tell you, I'm not driving that car the whole of the year. I'm just driving it, partially maybe. I'll use it for a month or so. So they want an insurance which will give them such length. So how about we do it, and we were having this discussion, because you remember I was sharing the nature positive insurance, which is causing me to now speak back to back in the next session. But anyway, yeah, so we were saying, how could we think of translating some of these learnings from, this other traditional insurance to maybe like if life and health? Because if you can have an insurance of pay as you go for, in the motor sector. So how about when it comes also like maybe to health? How can we start thinking about that? That we give also that insurance for maybe, there's usually a time when people are most vulnerable to diseases, if I may say. Maybe of course if it's the cold time, the winters, people are more vulnerable to, if it's flu, we call it the flu season or such like. So can we think of such that people, get that kind of insurance, the pay as you go? I know, of course, as insurance, we'll have to think a lot about how will it be, profitable and all. But I believe if we got a solution for pay as you go in the motor sector, then maybe we can start thinking how to make it profitable even in the health sector. So for now, I may stop at that and give an opportunity for others.
Okay, thank you, Sonje. It is clear that inclusive approaches require both innovation and adaptation to local needs, so well done. So let's move a bit to another dynamic region, North Africa, and here we are, and explore how cross-border cooperation is influencing efforts across the region.
Thank you.
So, Amine is our representative from North Africa. He will be the one driving us through the experience that the region is currently having and providing all the insights that we currently need in order to understand how sustainability risks are being addressed across the region and how we can learn and have a few takeaways so that we implement in our own companies. Over to you, Amine.
Thank you, Iara, thank you. So what I can say after the brilliant Monday. So ladies and gentlemen, thank you. It's a great honor to be here and to be in Marrakesh, a city that has hosted one of the most important, I think, in the most important event dedicated to climate change, COP22. And to speak about the sustainability and the link that we have with the insurance and reinsurance sector. So when we see North African countries, we see really a region which is standing across there is a reality, let's say, there is a hybrid reality. Those countries are deeply linked to the European countries. The fact that we need to enjoy a certain proximity with the European countries, and this they need to enjoy, let's say, a very high level of integration in terms of ESG standards. This is maybe from this perspective, let's say, if we see it, geographical positioning those countries, North Africa with Europe. But it is also firmly rooted to the reality of African countries. there is a problem of security in terms of energy, development needs, but not only that, we have also issues linked with the social resilience. And let me put you in the picture. So if we just think outside the box and see how those North African countries rely on several forces, and those several forces, we can choose three. This is, in my opinion, the first one. As I see, there is a gradual energy transition. You can see that there is really a gradual energy transition, and this is a fact. So, for example, you can see in Tunisia. In Tunisia, it's moving towards green energy interconnections with Italy. They have the strategic plan to export green electricity to Italy. If we see also Egypt today, they produce 20% of their electricity comes from renewables, and they fix it in 2035 to reach the level of 42%, which is a high level if we compare it to European countries. In Morocco also, while we continue producing over 62% of our energy, of our electricity comes from coal, we do enjoy as a country the largest solar power station, which is near to Marrakesh, producing over 580 million megawatts, which is really important. And to have a link with our industry, insurance and reinsurance, I think this transition means designing for us new products. It's a green field for us as a leader for the insurance and reinsurance sector to think about designing new products. The idea, also the challenge, is not to exclude transitional risks, but how we can succeed this transition from, let's say, brown assets that we used to have to this transition for green energy. This is the first point. The second point, I think, is the rise of ESG regulation. So today, when we see our regulators in the North African countries, Morocco, Algeria, Tunisia, Mauritania, Egypt also, and Libya, we see that there is a huge effort made by regulators. So, for example, in Morocco, we are starting thinking about making mandatory certain reporting dedicated to sustainability for insurance and for reinsurance company. We can see also in Egypt, which is also a fact, Egypt issued the first Africa sovereign bond, green bond. The amount was about $750 million US, and the rationale behind this bond is to finance renewable projects. I think, as key stakeholders of the insurance and reinsurance sector, we can take this opportunity. It's an opportunity for all sectors. Why it is an opportunity? It's an opportunity to readapt and recalibrate our underwriting guidelines, but also to readapt our way to handle claims. Monday mentioned it earlier, but also the most important thing is how to think about innovate in terms of ERM, enterprise risk management. And I think the insurers or reinsurers that they took this shift seriously, they will gain really a real competitive advantage cross-border. And this leads to the third point. The third point, I think, is the growing cross-border cooperation. So today, I think that the North African countries, they are realizing that they can, climate risk does not stop at borders. So they should think at a regional scale. And this is really a fact. So today, new initiatives for regional creative pool dedicated to Nat Cat regimes. It's been now in some countries like Tunisia with Algeria. We are thinking also about having the same approach in Egypt and Morocco. And a lot of, let's say, regional schemes are explored now. Also the point of data sharing, data sharing alliances, because data is really important when it comes to think about creating regional pools. And recently, Morocco, Tunisia, and Egypt, they are engaging increasingly with the African Union, and the idea is to think about how to put in place sustainable financial programs dedicated to North Africa, but with creating synergies with all other countries in the continent. And once again, for us as insurers and reinsurers, this is really linked to build a regional mindset, a regional resilience, rather than each country facing climate shocks alone. So in summary, I think that North African countries are building a hybrid model, a model which is linked to the European countries. And as I mentioned, we to enjoy in those countries a very high level of integration of ESG standards, but African at heart. Thank you.
Thank you, Amine. It is really great to see that you raised important points: collaboration, no borders, innovation, and system thinking change. So it is really great, and I'm glad that at least we are aligned in terms of the direction that we should take as a market and as a continent as a whole. It's really perfect. So now, what I will do, I will move a bit to the audience because I want to have a few insights. I want to have your reflections. I want to have your case study, your insights. How are you dealing with it in your industries? Any voluntary, please? Before I pick. Okay, I see one here. Let me just, perfect. Please just your name and company, and please feel free to go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. My name is Stephen Marco is my surname. I'm coming from Nelson Mandela University. It's an international university in South Africa. I'm a professor in the Department of Development Studies, which is housed in the Faculty of Business and Economic Sciences. So, in our Department of Development Studies is multidisciplinary. So we teach on a number of issues that are developmental. And most of the issues, they cut across sustainability issues. And we also have programs from undergraduate to doctoral programs on development studies and development finance. So we have development finance as a program, a diploma program, master's, and a PhD. So I like the presentations by our colleagues here, and what was also ensuing in the plenary, where there was a focus on collaboration. So I believe in the collaborative framework where different individuals and organizations need to work together as a team to achieve the goals. So in terms of insurance, I was also attracted to come to this session, to this deep dive session, because we also research in insurance. And one of my students who graduated with a doctoral qualification last year, 2024, was researching on micro-insurance and micro-enterprises, how micro-enterprises, their behavior in terms of, acquiring micro-insurance. So some of the findings were that the micro-insurance owners are not comfortable taking up in insurance because they are not sure whether they are going to get a return. Like what she was saying, to say you don't want that long-term insurance. So people are not comfortable. And because of the economies in Africa, some insurance companies fail and the clients are lost in the dark. Okay, so like I said, I believe in collaboration. In all the discussions, I'm not seeing one of the important stakeholders, which is the academic. I'm not seeing educational institutions featuring in all the discussions. I think we're forgetting where we are coming from because we all came through the schools and universities, but we forget to mention them. So I believe that they should also participate, educational institutions, through research and community engagement and also teaching. We need to participate so that we contribute to the agenda, to the goals. What do we want to achieve? If it's sustainability, how are these organizations, how do they get the information? So the information has to be generated by research institutions, which are universities and other academic institutions. So they should be able to collaborate, they should participate so that they provide information to the organizations for them to make decisions based on the outcomes. Like I gave an example of one of my students was researching on microinsurance. What is it about and what were the findings? Can those findings be used to achieve some of the goals? So we have students researching on climate finance, some studying on sustainability issues, environmental issues, and my other student who graduated in April this year from Nigeria was researching on COVID-19 and its impact on small to medium enterprises. And that was also, it has got an element of insurance. So those are some of the issues that I think we need to incorporate educational institutions. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor. And I couldn't agree more. There is need for research. We always complain about data and the availability of data. Of course, we really need the support of the academia, and we consider it when it comes to innovation. And I'm pretty sure that my panelists here as well will take notes. And thank you for the takeaway that you're giving us, so that we reach out and we strengthen collaboration with the academia as well. Thank you. Any other insight, comments? Okay, thank you. Just your name, your company, please.
Yes. Hi everybody, my name is Adil Omari. I work for AXA. I am the head of development commercial line for AXA Africa and the head commercial line for AXA Morocco. I think that this thematic is very important, and when we are talking about sustainability in AXA, we can talk about AXA as an investor, and I think that in this 20 years AXA invests a lot in sustainable activities in worldwide. As insurer, we have the responsibility to have this embedded in our underwriting guidelines, and I think we are working in this for 10 years ago, and there is a difference between where we are comparing, for example, emerging countries with others, a huge difference, and now we are trying by training academic seminar to have this gap more less than what it was. I think that it's very important, and we have also ACCEA Climate. ACCEA Climate has this responsibility to promote sustainability and to promote also climate change insurance. We are talking about earthquake and parametric cover. ACCEA Climate was the leader of insurance program for Morocco, and I think that is the example of what ACCEA Climate can do for African countries. And there are also very active in agriculture risks, parametric solution, and I think that if you compare our guidelines in underwriting, the difference will be very big in the next years, because I think sustainability will be part of tough guideline in underwriting, and I think it's very important to know that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, thank you. It is great to see that ACCEA is taking the lead in terms of championing sustainability, risk-related issues, and advancing the sustainable insurance agenda, and we are glad to hear that. So now, let me move a bit back to my wonderful panel now, and let's try and move forward. And what's the mindset shift or evolving priority do you believe the African insurance industry should consider embracing to deepen its sustainability journey, without suggesting anything or just putting it very briefly so that we can have a few takeaways, because remember that they have kind of a homework here, so we need a few, at least 5 takeaways from the audience. So please, over to you.
All right, thank you so much. I jotted down quite a few thoughts here, which I believe is important or significant to our sustainability journey as an insurance industry. Firstly, we need to improve our reporting. This is very critical, okay? Because if each organization that is listed here is reporting on their sustainability journey, it will create a platform and a pedestal for us to always improve on whatever we are doing. So if you pick up our sustainability report, okay, or you pick up another insurance company's sustainability report, you may see some innovations there or some things they're already doing which you are not doing yet and which you might need to start doing. And you may also see some relevant data which will also play an intelligent role in your analysis or in your gap analysis or in your maturity assessment. Then it's also critical for us to have a separate web page on our website dedicated to sustainability. So we don't want to come to your website and all we see is just a paragraph on sustainability. We should see on the main headers, on the main menu, your sustainability page, which people can access, the stakeholders can access, which everyone can have access to, and then you can see what is going on with that space. I actually think that there are so many organizations that are doing fantastically well in their journey of sustainability, but it is not being publicized. But when you have that web page, you can showcase to the entire world what is going on in your space. Thank you.
Thank you. So, I'm typically not an insurer, so I may use some terms here which may seem funny. So anyway, I think as insurance firms, what we need to do is take the bull by the horn. Maybe we need to become insurance matadors and not shy away from emerging risks if you're seeing them. But think of, we look at them as opportunities on how we can leverage on that and as well provide this insurance even if it's to the vulnerable communities and all, because we know climate change is continuing and we are here to provide solutions. So solutions like the parametric insurance, for instance, has worked well if it's in Kenya or Eastern Africa because of collaborations, things like risk pooling. So how about all these emerging risks? We, as I've said, take the bull by the horn and think of such alternatives where if it's the parametric through the risk pooling, which then will help and ensure that we're actually providing coverage for all these emerging risks. And also to look at alternatives way, because I know another thing which insurers, especially primary insurers, face is the issue of reinsurance. So about looking at alternative opportunities for reinsurance, things like maybe if it's catastrophic bonds, whereby we transfer the risk into capital markets, which will help to cure that, because now you're getting the investors who are acting as reinsurers. Of course, not to get Monday out of business, but yeah, just to look at these alternative reinsurance methods. So of course, as you say, and with this, then it's going to reduce the protection gap, because now we are going to have more people who can come into it. And we say, if we're looking at it in terms of economies of scale, if we can get to lower that even insurance premium and have to get it as as pay as you go, and have so many people who actually get that coverage, and insurance, then you'll say we have a lot of people paying premium, and of course it's not everyone who is going to get sick, not every risk will materialize, so in the long run you'll still make a profit. But we have to think about that and be intentional in the collaborating, and be intentional to go out there and look, and view all these from a perspective that it's an opportunity and not just a risk. Over lunchtime we were talking, someone came and we were seated with Christine, and as they were introducing themselves, and Christine mentioned that we are competitors in the insurance space, but say in sustainability we are actually collaborators. Because indeed in sustainability, whether it is in the banking sector, insurance, there's no competition. We have to work together, and I like saying it's shared responsibility for shared value. So yeah, thanks.
Thank you. Over to you, Amine.
Yes, I share the same point of view, yes. And looking beyond North African countries and see all the African continent, if I could choose one fundamental mindset shift that African insurance must embrace, it could be move from thinking about compliance ESG driven approach to transformational ESG Africa shaped approach. Let me explain. Today, most of insurance and reinsurance companies in Africa, I think, still see ESG as an external requirement demanded by investors, regulators, sometimes rating agencies, and this is really the issue. So we must see ESG standards not as a burden. No, as a competitive advantage instead. We must also think about developing African ESG grids. One that measure transition pathways, not footprint, resilience footprint for African countries. And the same idea that was raised by Caroline, we must think about creating regional pools. Regional pools, transition funds, but not only that, we also think about how to create sustainable insurance platform in Africa for Africa, because our African countries are different. And we mentioned before that the need for energy transition is urgent but complex. The demand on resilience is massive, and African countries, we can consider them as let's say, a fertile soil of innovation, and you can think about a lot of things to innovate within the African countries. So just to mention a last point, recently I read the McKinsey report that they gave the outlook of insurance and reinsurance market in Africa. They stated that in Africa, if sustainability and financial inclusion is embraced by insurance and reinsurance companies, by the year of 2030, the annual rate growth of insurance and reinsurance will reach the level of 7% to 10%, which is huge. So I think it's a huge opportunity. We should think about how to consider and reconsider our approaches within African countries for Africa.
Thank you. It's really, we really have a lot of takeaways, but before we go to my takeaways, I want to have your takeaways as an audience. Anyone that has a few points that wants to highlight from the discussion? I can see that she's happy, so we'll go straight.
Thank you. I don't know, put me on the spot, so I have to say something. Maybe just on the point of when Amine mentioned that we need to create regional pools. And I was thinking that perhaps we should look at interregional pools so that if Southern Africa is going through like drought or heavy storms, North Africa may not be affected, so that will sort of transfer of risk and not entirely just depend in the region that is already having some sort of climate related risk.
Thank you. Any other takeaway? Please feel free. Okay, so, oh, wonderful.
Thank you. I really appreciated the systemic view that you're bringing up, coming from, let me first introduce myself, sorry. Leroy from the University of Edinburgh, but previously central banker. So that's why I appreciate your systemic view of the integrated view. It's very strategic, and I think it's important because you need to look at scalability, right? So your fragmented risk markets, the climate exposure, and also the uneven regulation. But it also aligns perfectly with the goals of the Africa Free Trade area, right? So there's already alignment there, and also the resilience finance that will be needed when we move away from just a project, project insurance, but looking at the whole portfolio rather. I think that's fantastic. It reduces costs as well, and it gives you a better view of the entity, either sovereign or the company's the actual risks that might be on the book. I'd like to get maybe, I don't know if there's still time for them to respond, but maybe what is Atlantic Re doing when it comes to how are you currently applying this framework that you spoke about when it comes to maybe risk pooling and also your product design as well. What are you doing there, and does it improve pricing accuracy, etc.? And also how about the capacity? How does it impact that? And there's also trade-offs between the regional wishes, but what about your country-specific issues, right, that they have as well? So that's the one question. The other one is around how can either insurance or reinsurance integrate climate risk data into the models, especially for when it comes to sovereigns. Because earlier today, I think Dr. Mahmoudi spoke about debt sustainability issues, right? And one of the ways to reduce the costs of debt is applying insurance or guarantees connected to those products. Do we play much in the sovereign side as well? And in difficult areas like agricultural insurance, what is happening there? And then, yeah, interesting comment on the cat bonds. I know there are challenges connected to that, but yeah, they are on the horizon, and I think as a continent we always need to be aware of the potential misalignment when it comes to that too. And then this morning I think I asked Monday, so if I do have an event, right, the event does take place, it triggers the measure, and they pay out, what is my cost next time? Because if I have an accident, my premium goes up, right? So if we are anticipating more frequent events and the intensity of the event also increases, so now I'm having multiple events. How do we price that? How do we keep it still affordable? Where does the resilience come in? Does it improve my credit as a sovereign or as a company? Yeah, if we can just chat a bit about that, please.
Thank you. So, quickly, Monday and Amine, can you please go through the answers?
If I may, Monday, just about the last question. The reinsurer is here and they can offer stop loss coverage in that kind of case. So, we all know the insurance sector and insurance, but reinsurance is, let's say, a double cover for the insurer and for the insurance companies. So, insurers can play a key role when it comes to that kind of issues. Let me also mention something. So, you mentioned agriculture as a field in which we can discuss maybe further about how climate risks can have an impact and can change the landscape of that. So, early this morning we talked about parametrics. I think this is the key point. Even in the East African countries, parametric is the key success for agriculture. So we should think about recalibrate our classical models and think about having parametrics models. And just to mention this between brackets, so at Atlantic Re is previously it was ICEA, which is the first reinsurer created in Africa since 1960. With an rating of B++ from Invest, and we reached a level of $403 million as a consultant premium. We do enjoy also an academy, and the academy we raise projects that comes from university and we develop topics dedicated to how to sustain data, how to think about risk modeling in terms of real issues that we face with the UNEP enterprise risk management. Sometimes need to I have enough time. Okay. In agriculture and sometimes to the financial sector. So that's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. The questions and your thoughts, they are very deep. So we cannot answer all of them at this section. But what I would say is that there are solutions and technologies in place. For instance, at Waica, we deployed Planonomics, which is an advanced modeling tool to assess climate perils, whether both the physical risk or the transition risk. So at an instance, we are able to integrate climate risk assessment into our underwriting process. So I think we can continue to evolve and be innovative. Short answer.
Thank you. So we'll wrap up our session now. So what I can see is that there are discussions that will continue outside the room. I'm pretty sure that you guys will be able to connect and to have more insightful discussions. So as a way to close our session now, what I would say is that let's think about the ESG sustainability, or everything has resilience. The continent needs it and the industry needs it as well. Thank you.